Hello viewers, in this video we are going to learn about unfair competition. Let us see what is unfair competition. The law of unfair competition is based upon notion that individuals should be protected from deceptive and improper conduct in the marketplace. The law of unfair competition is found in case law. In the state statutes prohibiting unfair business practices in specific federal statutes and in regulations promulgated by the FTC, that is Federal Trade Commission, the federal regulatory agency charged with protecting consumers from unfair or deceptive acts and practices. So, what exactly unfair competition mean? If somebody in the market are cheating the customers in one or the other way. For example, a customer selling local shoe in the name of Nike, it's deceiving or cheating the customers. So there are some kind of regulations were promulgated by the FTC, which is called as Federal Trade Commission. It protects the customers from this kind of fraudulent and deceptive attitude of the business people, and they are going to send them to the court and make them to undergo some kind of punishments given by the court. And let us see Lanham Act section 43. This act provides a federal cause of action to protect consumers against unfair competitive business practices. Moreover, section 43A protects unregistered marks and names such as those that do not qualify for federal trademark registration because they are descriptive or perhaps used only in intrastate commerce. So this Lanham Act section 43 protects customers from fraudulent practices of the business people, and also it protects the trademarks which were unable to register for various reasons. It protects these kind of trademarks as well. So say what is section 43 Lanham Act? It protects the consumers from fraudulent and deceptive practices of business. Second one, it protects the trademarks that were unable to register for various reasons. Let us look into types of unfair competition. Number one, passing off or pawing off occurs when one party attempts to pass off or sell off her goods or services as those of another. As the earlier example, if a person selling a local shoe with the label of Nike, it is called as passing off because he's selling his product with the name of the others. And next type, misappropriation, right of publicity, false advertising, dilution, either tarnishing another's mark or causing it to lose the distinctiveness through. That means sometimes whenever you go to several markets, what happens? The street vendors who sell shoe or other products, they say that it is a branded product. Whenever you look onto the name of the brand, it will be faded or diluted. That means they are trying to deceive you in the name of brand. Blurring is actionable as dilution. Yeah, as we earlier discussed. Infringement of trade dress. Adopting the overall concept of another's distinctive packaging or product image, generally called it trade dress. So, as to deceive the consumers is an infringement of trade dress. Before that, what I would like to tell you is try to understand what is a trade dress. Coca-Cola cool drink comes in a specific design bottle. Whenever somebody pours dark color liquid into it with the same kind of bottle, everybody thinks it's a Coca-Cola bottle itself. Even in India, if you go to a local general store, you will find gems like packs. But whenever you pick that, then they are not gems by Cadbury. They are something else. Even Cadbury Dairy Milk chocolates were copied by the local chocolate companies with the same kind of cover. So these are all the trade dresses. If somebody is trying to cheat the customers with the by copying the trade dress, then also it comes under as unfair competition. Generally, injured parties notify the wrongdoer prior to the initiating litigation. So, if Coca Cola finds out some filthy person selling some kind of drink in their trade dress, then they'll first intimate the information, thereafter, they'll draw them to the court. Let us see what is misappropriation. The doctrine means rules. The doctrine of misappropriation first arose in International News Service v Associated Press. 248 United States, 215 1918, in which the Supreme Court held that an unauthorized taking of another's property, in that case, news information that it invested time and money in creating was actionable as misappropriation of property. So, first rules of misappropriation that occurred in 1918 by some international news surveys. So, people make news with a lot of money, risk, and time. All these things should be invested. That's when any news company can gather some kind of news. If that particular news, which is gathered with all the investment of time, money, and human resources, is misappropriated, then that's a serious issue. Then in INS news information originally gathered by the Associated Press relating to the World War One was pirated by International News Service and sold it to the customers. So, INS is the organization who filmed World War One sceneries, but it was pirated by some international news service and sold it to the customers, which is considered as misappropriation. Because the news itself, the factual matter, could not be copyrighted, the plaintiff could not sue for the copyright infringements. Okay, in this point, we need to understand two things. First and foremost, there are some rules and regulations to register copyrights. Facts, universal facts cannot be copyrighted. That is first one. And the other one, what is the meaning of plaintiff? Plaintiff is the person who goes to the court for suing somebody. By filing a case on somebody, he goes to the court. The person who is drawn to the court by the plaintiff is called defendant. Instead, it alleged that its valuable property right had been taken or misappropriated by the defendant. So obviously, it's been misappropriated by defendant who is international news. The Supreme Court agreed, noting that the defendant was endeavoring to reap where it was not sown and is appropriating to itself the harvest of those who have sown. At 239:40, which is an act, because the defendant was not attempting to convince the subscribers that its news reports were from the plaintiff. An action for passing off would not lie. The defendant was misappropriating rather than misrepresenting. So Supreme Court said that this international news has been expecting the fruits of a tree which it does not sow the seeds for, and it's completely taking the advantage of others by misappropriating the others' property. Right of publicity. The right of publicity gives individuals, not merely celebrities, the right to control commercial use of their identities or personas. So normally publicity is done by the celebrities itself, but not only the celebrities, even it can be controlled and have the every right for normal people as well, as per their identities and personalities. The right of publicity protects a commercial interest. The vast majority of cases involve celebrities in as much as they can readily show economic harm when their names, photographs, or identities are used to sell products or suggest a sponsorship of merchandise. So, mostly this commercial interest and publicity is based on the celebrities itself. So they have every right where their pictures are pasted for promoting certain products. Publicity rights are governed by the state law. The right of publicity has evolved from the right of privacy, which protected against unreachable invasions upon another person's solitude and provided remedies for the disclosure of private information. So, this right of publicity arose from a basic right which is called as right of privacy. So, each and every person have their own interests on certain products to take the decisions on. For example, if you walk by the street, you'll see there are many salons uses the celebrities pictures without their permissions. If they really wanted to take the action, they can directly take the action because they are doing it without their consent. Because each and every person have their own choices which product he should be promoting, which product he shouldn't be. So without the consent of anybody, nobody should use their pictures for promoting any kind of products. The right of publicity allows individuals to protect the marketability of their identities and punishes those who would unjustly enrich themselves by approaching another's fame for profit making purposes. If somebody is misusing some other's identity for promoting their products unlawfully, then they are subject to punishment. Right of publicity. The unpermitted commercial exploitation of individuals' persona would dilute the value of the persona, making it more difficult for individual to commercialize his or her identity. Thus, remedies for infringement include injunctions to prevent further exploitation and monetary relief to the compensate the individual whose right of publicity has been appropriated, including damages for injury to reputation, recovery of the defendant's profits, and punitive damages in extreme cases. So, if some businessman uses a celebrity's or a normal person's photograph for promoting their products without the consent, they are going to be prosecuted and there will be very huge fines because of the damages that particular person whose ever picture was used without the permission is going to claim for. Courts have articulated a number of reasons for uploading an individual's right to publicity, including the need to protect against confusion that would arise if consumers were led to believe individuals sponsor or approve products when they do not. The need to incentivize performance who provide entertainment and benefits society and should thus be provided with a protectable proper right in their identities. For example, there's a person like in Bollywood, I'm just giving you an example. Shah Rukh Khan supports Airtel. Okay, now if somebody uses his poster and writes something about Idea or Geo, then what happens? The people and their identities are going to be in a very big question mark. people will not be able to understand which product their favorite actor is supporting for. It causes confusions, and even that particular celebrity might lose his reputation because of the DL persona experienced by the viewers, even though he is not supporting two brands but one. The right of publicity does not apply to non commercial uses. Using another's name, likeliness, or identity for news reporting, scholarship, or research permissible. So, this right of publicity do not applicable is not going to be applicable for non-commercial purposes. New development in right of publicity. As is common with intellectual property rights in today's societies, some of the new issues relating to the rights of publicity stem from increasing the technological advances. So, intellectual property rights always has issues with raising technology, improvement in the technology, because it is very easy to infringe or copy someone's intellectual property rights with the increasing technology. Without prior permission, one should not appear in the digital technology used movie. For example, uh, there's a story. Okay, that story, a producer would like to make it animated, a animated movie. Just because it is an animated movie, he cannot use Rajnikant's image in that particular movie because it is animated. Even if he wanted to use the Rajnikant image or the character in that movie, he need to take the consent of the original person. Then only he is allowed to do that. The International Trademark Association has proposed amending the United States Trademark Act to create federal right of publicity with post-mortem rights, although such rights would be limited to some specific period of duration after death. So, this International Trademark Association has proposed to amend the US Trademark Act. So, the what kind of changes they wanted to amend into the Trademark Act is, if some celebrity dies, someone dies, using his previous video footage to advertise, to commercialize is prohibited, should be prohibited. Similarly, names, gestures, and likeliness are unprotectable under copyright law because they are titles or ideas rather than expressions. So, somebody names or somebody is copying gestures of the others, or if somebody is looking similar to the other person, cannot be copyrighted or protected. Thus, in some instances, federal copyright law may control plaintiff's rights, while in other instances, only the right to publicity will provide protection. So, because of there are some kind of issues coming up, as per the case scenario, courts sometimes control the plaintiff, that means the person who goes to the court, his rights are going to be controlled. Sometimes, right of publicity will provide the protection for plaintiff. California recently passed the Aster Celebrity Image Protection Act, code 3344-3346, to allow the heirs of celebrities to block commercial uses of deceased celebrities, likely nice, while allowing safe harbor exemption to the artistic users, such as the digital insertion of President Kennedy's image into the movie Forrest Gump, or uses for news, public affairs, and so forth. So, this California recently started a new act which is called as Aster Celebrity Image Protection Act. As per that, the heirs of celebrities who already died, not the heirs, the celebrities whoever died, their heirs can block the footage in the commercials of deceased celebrities. So, in Broadway, Nobody can use or commercialize dead celebrities' footage or content in a commercial unless until there is a specific reason for it. Let us look into false advertising. In 1943, the federal trademark law, the Lanham Act, was passed. Section 43A of the Act, 15 United States Code 1125, prohibited the false designation of origin, namely description or representations tendingly falsely to describe or represents goods or services. So, this Lanham Act passed in 1943, and 43A section provides that if any product has a wrongful description of the product or the product's origin, then it is called as false advertising and it will face consequences. It was not an effective vehicle to use when a party made misrepresentations relating to the nature or quality of the goods or services. So, if any company misrepresent their nature or quality of the goods, this also comes under false advertising. Moreover, until the passage of Lanham Act, that means until the Lanham Act comes in, plaintiffs, the people who goes to the court, an element that was often difficult to demonstrate. So before Lanham Act passed, it was very difficult for the plaintiffs to make judge to understand what exactly wrong with the products. Although the individual states enacted statutes prohibiting false advertising, these statutes varied from state to state and were often ineffective to prohibit false advertising that was national in scope. So, these false advertising statutes were made by state law, and these statutes were weak and was unable to stop false advertising at all. Those days, this false advertising was nation's problem, not state-wise. The expansive language of Section 43 of Lanham Act, however, soon began to be used to protect not only against unregistered trademarks but also against nearly all forms of false advertisement. So this Lanham Act is not protecting only unregistered trademarks, but it was against all sorts of the false advertisements. In 1989, Congress amended the Lanham Act and broadened the scope of Section 43 for infringement of trademarks, both registered and unregistered marks, and trade dress, while other notion of the state allows the assertion of the claims for false advertisement. So in 1989, there were some amendments happen in Lanham Act 43A section so that this false advertisement can be stopped in broader manner.